Okay, so the next map we produce is a little trickier to produce sometimes. As far as a diffuser, there used to be this great way in ZBrush to produce this map. It was one button click, it was done, and it produced a very nice diffuse map. Now it's a little trickier. So what we're going to do is kind of put the skull all the way up to the last level and do a mask by ambient occlusion. Okay, and they got this intensity here. I'm going to try to leave it at 1 at first and see what that does. So I'm going to mask by ambient occlusion. And the idea of a diffuse is basically to strengthen a normal map. Where a normal map produces the bump, diffuse takes and strengthens the cracks. Okay, so light gets no energy whatsoever within the cracks. It dies off in the cracks. And I guess a perfect example of diffused or a diffused material would be brick. You don't see very shiny bricks anywhere unless somebody clear coated them with some kind of gloss coat. And even then, I would say they didn't get all the little cracks and crevices along the way. So that's a very diffused material. A skull, in certain areas it's really kind of sandpaper-like, and it might not have the same energy on it. So the diffuse would be there inside the cracks and crevices, because those cracks and crevices would have fine, minute texture that would kill light. And as you can see, this takes a very long time to produce. I'm going to write it out because I want to see if it's very reliant on the occlusion intensity. So if I don't like what I see, I'm going to have to probably adjust this and do it again. So this also works with cavity too. Cavity stays within the very, very, very fine cracks. Ambient occlusion kind of crawls out of those cracks a little bit more. So those are the two differences between the cavity and ambient occlusion. Light gets killed across any deep surface here, and only in minute cracks here. Okay, so what I'm going to do is take that and create an alpha off of that mask. And this will take a second. That looks pretty good. Okay, so I'm going to export this. And again, I have to flip it upside down to export it. And I'm going to export it as a TIFF. And I'm going to stay within the same naming conventions that I did before. Okay, and I'm going to do this twice. The reason for this is I wanted to show you the difference between the ambient occlusion and cavity. So I just named that ambient occlusion. And then I'm just going to take and clear this mask and mask by cavity. Mask by cavity takes a lot less time. It takes 2 seconds. Then I'm just going to do a create alpha. Which takes a couple more than 2 seconds. Okay, then I'm going to take this and flip it upside down. And export it. This one's going to look a little strange, and you have to do an extra step to it, so that's the only reason. I like the ambient occlusion and the fact that you don't have to do the extra little step. Okay, so it flipped right, yep. Back to Maya. Back to my hard drive. And I can go in here and process these. It's my cavity. And my ambient occlusion. And for some reason the ambient occlusion does not, oh, there we go. And again, I update these so they get thumbnails. And in the next video, I'll apply these to the, well, no, I could do it here, I think. Okay, so here, sculpt done. Here's diffuse. So here's my ambient occlusion. I'm going to just pop that over to my diffuse. And again, the only way to really truly see what it's doing is take it and turn it off. Okay, so do a compare between this on and off. Okay, not much, right? But it will strengthen the cracks and crevices. It's one of the maps that, you know, we don't use very often, but I still want to show you that, you know, you can produce it and it does look nice with the normal map. What I would suggest is you render this out now. And you should render it with all the maps on and off as a new student just to see how things work. So in the next video, I want to show you a workflow to study mapping.